If you look at satellite images of southern Egypt, you see something that, well, it just looks impossible. These massive green circles are popping up, like a mirage right in the middle of one of the driest places on the entire planet. But this isn't a mirage. It's actually one of the largest geoengineering projects in the world, a massive attempt to write a new future in water, steel, and sand.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How on earth do you build an entirely new river system in the desert? I mean, how do you make the Sahara bloom on a national scale? The answer, well, it reveals this incredible story of survival, of ambition, and what you can only really call pharaonic-level engineering.
But before we can get to the how, we really have to understand the why. Because this incredible transformation isn't just about ambition. Nope, it was forged in this crucible of immense pressure that forced Egypt to think on a scale that, honestly, most nations would find completely impossible.
What happened was Egypt found itself in a perfect storm. So first, you've got this major geopolitical threat with the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the GERD, which basically controls the source of 85% of Egypt's water. Then, add to that immense demographic pressure. We're talking a population set to hit 160 million by 2050. And finally, there's just the brutal geographic reality. 96% of the country is desert. This situation forced Egypt to come up with a national strategy built on three pillars: defend, expand, and reimagine.
Okay, so let's start with that first pillar, defend. When years and years of diplomacy over the GERD Dam basically hit a dead end, Egypt had to shift from negotiation to engineering. It started building its defenses against what some experts were calling a potential hydraulic time bomb.
The absolute biggest fear is a catastrophic collapse of the GERD Dam. An event like that would send a devastating wave downstream, and it could potentially overwhelm Egypt's own Aswan High Dam. So to counter this, Egypt transformed the Toshka spillway, this massive desert depression, into a giant safety valve. It's basically an insurance policy built of concrete and sand, and it's designed to absorb that entire wave and protect the nation's lifeline.
Just to help you grasp the scale of the threat Egypt is planning for, think about this number. The emergency storage capacity of the Toshka lakes is 80 billion cubic meters. To put that in perspective, that is larger than the entire 74 billion cubic meter reservoir of the GERD Dam itself. It is a defense built on a truly monumental scale.
So, with a defensive shield in place, Egypt launched a revolution in the sand. And this brings us to Pillar 2, which goes from defense to offense. The strategy is called horizontal expansion, and it's basically a national mission to wage war on the desert and reclaim it for agriculture. Projects like the New Delta and Sonabal Sanu are leading this charge, and the national target is almost unbelievable: to add 4.5 million fadans, that's over 18,000 square kilometers, of new cultivated land by 2027. This would increase the country's total agricultural area by a staggering 50%. But one of the flagship projects, Toshka, has this incredible comeback story. See, it was launched back in 1997. And for nearly a quarter century, it was a national symbol of failure. It stalled out, investors pulled out, and it was just left for dead, totally deemed impossible. And then in 2021, it was revived and put on the fast track. So what changed? Well, an impossible obstacle stood in the way: a 9-kilometer-long mountain of solid granite blocking the path of the planned waterway. The solution was just audacious. The Egyptian Engineering Corps used thousands of tons of explosives to blast a channel straight through it. I mean, this feat was so significant it was compared to a legendary military victory, turning an engineering challenge into a powerful new symbol of national triumph. And that brings us to the third, and honestly, the most visionary pillar: reimagine. This goes way beyond defense or expansion. This is about using engineering to fundamentally alter the nation's geography for the century to come. The grand concept here is to create a second Nile. The idea is to build a new, permanent river that connects the now overflowing Toshka lakes way down in the south with the Qattara Depression up in the north, which is one of the largest basins on Earth. This would create an entirely new valley for cities, for industry, and for agriculture, relieving that immense demographic pressure on the original Nile corridor. Now, what makes this dream suddenly seem feasible is its brilliant simplicity. The entire channel is designed to be 100% gravity-fed. By just leveraging the natural slope of the terrain, water flows from the higher elevation south to the north, all on its own. This avoids the immense cost and complexity of giant pumping stations that made previous attempts totally impossible.
But wait, where do you get the soil to make this new valley fertile?
Well, it turns out Egypt has a secret ingredient, a buried treasure. For over 60 years, the Aswan Dam has trapped all this hyper-fertile silt washing down from the Ethiopian highlands.
And the amount is just staggering. An estimated 140 million tons of this agricultural gold is just sitting at the bottom of Lake Nasser, just waiting to be used to kickstart a new agricultural heartland.
But get this, here's the most surprising part. Analysis shows this silt isn't just fertilizer. It contains what Dr. Ahmed Abdel-Wahab of Georgetown University calls invaluable mineral treasures, including platinum and up to 18 grams of gold per cubic meter. This resource could not only fertilize the new valley, but it could also help finance the entire project.
So a second Nile, a national safety valve, a green revolution in the desert, it's an incredible vision. But amidst all of this incredible new engineering, there is one unchanging reality that underpins everything.
And this is the most crucial point to understand. These megaprojects do not replace the Nile. They are entirely dependent on it. Every single drop of water flowing into the Toshka Lakes or the new delta is surplus from the one true river. This is a monumental effort to optimize an ancient inheritance, not create a new one.
A quote from President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi really drives that point home with absolute clarity. He said, "Egypt's historical share of the Nile's waters is non-negotiable. It is a matter of life." All of this new engineering is about making the most of that share, which is and always will be the country's one and only lifeline.
So, with billions invested and mountains literally moved, is this grand strategy actually working? Let's take a look at the results, which show a pretty clear shift from just strategic planning to tangible national security.
Yeah, the numbers really speak for themselves. In just a single year, wheat imports dropped by 31%. Now, for the world's largest wheat importer, that is a powerful move towards self-reliance. And at the same time, agricultural productivity has just boomed. Egypt now exports 405 different types of agricultural products to markets all across the globe, a really clear sign the strategy is paying off.
So I think the ultimate takeaway is this. In the face of some truly existential threats, Egypt isn't just building projects, it is building a new geography. It's a national-scale effort to write its future in water, steel, and sand.
Which really leaves us with a final, fascinating question. As water and resources become more and more scarce around the world, are we looking at the new blueprint for national survival? Is this kind of pharaonic, nation-altering engineering the future for all of us?